Was that
too.
in the budget that went
Then
forward?
you, no, it's not in the budget. It's just kind
It
of.
wasn't in the budget in March or anything?
No.
No.
And
And I said, if you're going to cut my hourly rate, at least cut my hours.
So you weren't informed at all?
And I was told, no, you're an 8-hour day when I called here.
Well, again, we're probably not going to solve all these issues at the table, but
Well, I mean, we get a lot of trouble with waging our people. I mean, for stuff like that. I mean, there's the and the whole purpose in this was not to create a stink. The whole purpose of this was, I don't want to wait around until March, which is the next funding cycle, and then show up and we got a crisis. Hey, we haven't been approved for any risky money for the next quarter. What are we going to do? Because then the district would have to be required to pick that up, or either, just do away with the Family Resource Center.
Gary, let me say this as well. As we are accountable, this board specifically, and I'm accountable to give you good transparency. It is not. I've been informed. My information tells me that a budget was approved, and it came back approved. Now, again, I think those are two conflicting positions here. It's probably not going to get solved here.
Okay, you mean a budget was approved by the advisory council?
Yeah, that it went through and was sent back approved. I mean, I don't know how we could be operating on. I think the state would have already informed us that we don't have an approved budget.
Okay, how?
Well, that's exactly, I mean, with all due respect, if I'm allowed to speak.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. And if I did, no, it was not approved.
So we've gone from July to now without being told that we don't have an approved budget?
Well, I've been saying it since August the 28th, which I have documentation for. But may I just say this, and we can cut to the chase on this because this could go on all night. This is where we are right now, okay? And how I'm trying to help you.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm trying to finalize the contractual compliance, and no matter what we say, it is non-compliance, because this is what's going to happen. Unless these things are taken care of, because the Secretary of Cabinet is very aware of this, well, what you're going to do is your next two quarterly payments are going to be deficient for the amount that is owed for just this year, not including, what happened before. That's the right thing to do, what you choose to do. And certainly with the legislative money for the cost service. But this is what, and I'll just sum this up for you real quickly, if that's okay, because I know it's done, and I didn't expect it to get like this, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak about it. But this is what I said in the bottom, if you look at this on the last 2 pages. Okay. In regards to the overcharges to the FRISC program and underpayment to the employees, the Division of FRISC must be informed of the district's internal plans, what you're planning to do to compensate for the reinstatement to the grants for this fiscal year. You can either choose to pay the money back and do it through Munis, or we will be holding until this is all, finished, finalized, the amount of money that is due you for the last 2 quarterly payments for the amount of approximately $18,000, which was for this fiscal year, so that the budgets are going to match up for this current year. And that includes Nora at the correct salary, because she's operating, whoever just decided to change her salary and nothing went through my office, I assure you. That was not done. It is uploaded on the green system, and I have complete documentation for that.
Okay, so when was it changed?
Pardon?
When was it changed? What date was it changed?
There was not a change as far as the state. The only change was done was at central office here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's got to be taken care of. The workers' compensation carryover issued from the previous fiscal year and plans for compensating for that will be up to you all. I can't hold the money from last year. You can't put money back in to the financial arrangement from last year or this year. Okay. However, if I think you're doing the right thing, you would. That would, I think, probably appease the auditor's office and certainly the cabinet. And it could go for, if it's for summer programs, just to make whatever, that these centers could run. But that's up to you all. I have to be responsible for what's going to happen with us next year if we continue the program here, and what's going to happen for this fiscal year. So with that being said, then number 3, compliance with the approved grant in center operations for the salary reduction hours of operation days work is the issue at Inez Youth Services Center. And the center operations were changed without approval, I'll give you a minute right here, and totally non-compliant with the contract. Okay? And number 4, review and auditing has to be done for the legislative allocated FRISC sole cost severance funds, which were exclusively to be utilized by the FRISC because of their value. And the legislators went out on a limb because they were taking out so much money for workers' compensation
That they had.
they didn't get their salaries. So they did it specifically for that. And that is for the children. And so they can run the family. You know, if you don't have a person in that role, an aide in the school is not going to be able to do that. So these reported reductions need to be done due to the overcharged workers' compensation. And then finally, you know, we have to have future issue, and that's not contingent upon this amount right now, but certainly before we do the FY 14-16 allocation plan, which is coming up and is due March 1st, there'll have to be, you know, involvement from the coordinator, the advisory council, site-based decision-making councils, the principal, and then that goes to the board for board action and the superintendent to sign off on with the approved plan, which then comes to me. And that's when I do the non-contingencies, if there are any, okay? And then based upon that, then the money will be sent back to the arrangement for the quarterly payment for the next. So we operate on a 2-year basis. Yeah. So that's going to have to be done because we have issues, you know, and again, you know, I'm not trying to, I just want you to know that I'm here for your program here, Martin County. The reason, you know, that I didn't say to the state and I overlooked it and let it slide, that we have 2 coordinators still in place with all the other issues you all had at the beginning of this year. You know, I said, let's keep 2 good coordinators there, Aretha Stanley and Nora. We got to do something that has continuity. We can't, I'm about keeping the employees, and I would think the school district would be too, that have given, you know, nearly 20 years of service. And so, you know, I could care less if there's any money in there for children programs. And you say, why would you say that? Let me tell you why. When I first came here 16 years ago, there was a line item in one of the Friskies that was for $18,000 for basic needs. That's the truth. You know what these people have in their basic needs line items now? $0. $0. And that's because that these ladies, and with guidance and training, they have developed relationships not only with the local community, but such as Children's Incorporated, who all have worked with Family Resource Youth Service Centers.
Now they're based out of Richmond, Virginia.
And they're wonderful. And you know what they do for you kids here? Don't worry about basic needs. You know, so I'd say put it all in salaries if you could, because what they've done was bring in over $300,000 in 2 years. You know, to pay for basic needs. They've done everything in the world for families and children with that money. So that's why personnel is important. It's very important. Anyway, these are the things. If we can get this all together, then, you know, go through the necessary paperwork, but we're still operating, you know, on a non-compliant contract with North, because you can't, you know, even though they're district employees, you know, it's just like a superintendent, you know, they can hire and they can fire. But, you know, you have to go through the process. You can't do lateral transfers. You can't just say, if one of these coordinators was to leave, that, you know, I'm just going to put somebody over there. You have to have the advisory council into it. And it's the same thing for the budgets. That all has to go through the proper channels and then ultimately is approved by the cabinet. And I'm representing the cabinet, and that's my job. And that's all I want to do. And if y'all can help me do it, I'll continue to do it.
I'm certainly going to work with you, but again, you know, my advice and counsel to the board, as you have stated, this board determines transfers. This board determines on an annual basis salary schedules for every employee in this district. It doesn't matter who pays it. So a 2-year contract does not confine the board to reducing salaries. It does not. It's every year.
Even for Frisky?
Even for Frisky. It does, the board determines annual salary schedules, period. 2 years violates that. It's every year. That's KRS.
Okay, but if their budget's already set and their salary's set.
Well, that's another process. If it didn't go through the normal process as being described here, it probably didn't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
What I'm making clear here is that this board determines annually salary schedules for every employee in this district. Every employee, whether to reduce or increase.
Yeah.
This board has that. That's statute.
Yeah.
It's not determined by the general fund or Fund 1 or Fund 2.
Okay, but the thing I'm saying, if we're under contract to the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, if we're under contract, and these advisory councils come up with a budget, and in that budget is included the salaries of the directors, then how can we choose to cut?
That's an annual budget. That's an annual budget that's presented. Now, it may be on a
Well, it's a
2
2-year.
It could be, but the budget can, a lot of things can happen in a year, much less 2 years. And the board still has a prerogative, I'll speak up there in just a moment, the decision. You're still the decision makers on an annual basis. And in fact, it's not even annual. If you decide that there was going to be a reduction in December, then you can make that if the criteria was there for you to make that decision. So you're not confined in a 2-year contract. I don't want that perception to be left here. But that would, that's just not true. The board has that prerogative. Now, there are certain steps, procedures you have to go through, and approvals possibly. But the board has final say on annual salaries.
Well, here's the thing I'm saying. If we're getting the money from the Cabinet, that's the funding source.
It doesn't make any difference to where that money comes from.
But the whole thing about it is, if we get the money from the Cabinet, from the funding source, we're getting the money to pay the salaries, and we're getting the money to go. Why would you even?
That's a great question.
Even tamper.
You can do whatever
with
you
it.
want.
I mean, I wouldn't want to tamper with it because it's something that already set in stone. I mean, it's already, we're getting the money to pay this person X amount of dollars.
Well, I would disagree with you.
Okay, but
because of this, the autonomy of setting the salaries is to the board. It's not to any program. The practice of this district is that we have too many people setting their own salary schedule.
Okay, so the advisory council doesn't set
salary schedules?
I have tried to say for years,
Okay, all right.
that we needed to adopt the salary schedule for Martin County.
Why haven't we done that? Do other districts do that?
Yes.
So why haven't we done that?
Well, it's a little.
Well, we did that last board meeting. It was the first time, as I've shared with you. It's the first time that we've ever. Yes,
for the Friskies.
I wasn't aware of it.
Mr. Meadows, we had a conversation about
that's what we
this
did last
spring.
time.
He said, that's what I want to do with all the Friskies.
Absolutely.
Just get them on the pay scale.
Okay,
They've never been on there.
Okay, but who sets the advisory council then does not set these salaries for the.
They approve them.
They approve.
And we have in the administrator's guidebook, and is also on the internet.
Well, they don't approve them.
Yeah.
This board approves them. They can recommend them in a budget.
Well, that's
this board
true.
approves salary schedules.
Well, true.
Okay.
But also we don't have to continue, funding the program.
Yeah, that's
They're not important.
the double-edged
Is that extortion?
No.
What I'm saying is that the only fact I'm making here is the education of this board in this district. The board sets salary schedules. It makes no difference if you're a superintendent or a bus driver.
Okay, here's the thing. I can't understand the friction between the school district and the Cabinet for Health and Family Services. I mean, I can understand the friction between me and the Cabinet because, they have a lawsuit against me over an open record saying. But I can't understand the Cabinet's giving you money. Okay, here's what, you have, the Cabinet's giving you money. We set up the advisory council. Everything is set up by statute, I'm assuming. Here's what's done. The Cabinet sets it up. We're going to give you money. For grant, it's going to be approved quarterly just to see if you're in compliance. The advisory councils are going to recommend salaries. Let's say that they don't set them. But they recommend, okay, here's what we're doing. Here's the way your money's going to be spent. And the advisory council says, okay, we looked at that's good. and then we, the district, decide, okay, yeah, even though the advisory council said that, and even though all the stuff's in line, we're gonna get our money, and nothing ain't gonna cost us anything, why we would decide to change that at all? Just let it run the
Well,
way it's
for the
supposed to
reasons why
run.
you would change that as a board, it's your discretion and your responsibility to ensure that the money is spent wisely and most appropriately. When you look at a budget, you want to make sure most of as much as we can is get to the kids. Now, I agree with Doug on this. I mean, salaries, teaching is expensive. Salaries are expensive. When I
Yeah,
say
but
teaching,
here's the
I'm talking
problem.
about everybody. So, when we approach the 95% threshold of a budget going into salaries, I think that's a flag to me.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Well-
need to be below 90.
Yeah, but here's the problem that I have, is that we're not talking about the salaries, but we're talking about rating this fund, and that basically
I don't
was
think that's a
rating
fair
the fund for the
description.
workers' comp.
I don't think that's a fair description of rating.
Well, if it's 10 times the amount that we're paying on average for other employees, then
But that's
I
not
would
something
say
we
pra-
created. We're
Okay.
just going by the guidelines that were given by workers' comp and our premiums that we're paying, that's
Okay,
all.
how many other grant programs do we have besides this?
It's probably 15 or so
Okay, do we do
across the board.
wait a minute, and I want to make sure I get this right. Do we charge these other programs that have employees, do we charge them that same rate for workers' comp? I mean, are they significantly higher than what because maybe we should have the auditors come in and look at, everything.
Sir, I don't think you need an auditor. It's the board's decision. If you don't.
No, wait a minute, it's not.
It is the board's decision. You can change this if you want. If you don't want the percentage based upon the risk of the employee or that class, then the board can say, we're not going to do that, and we're going to go out into general fund. You don't need an auditor to do that.
Yeah, the whole thing about it is, there's a thing in paying the risk. I can't believe that Norton's position rates 10 times higher than what we pay per employee.
Is that
So
because
the
the
other
group
grants
is small and you're considering them as one group? And because they
Yes.
don't have a large number of people, is that part of it?
It's a class.
It's about the third act.
Yeah.
This,
Yeah, we get Mr. Schmidt.
okay, the board has the option of doing zero.
All right, so
Board has
what,
the option of dividing that premium by all employees and set one rate across the board.
Mhm.
Okay, now what's been done in the past is not this board's, was
No,
not
no.
this board's,
Yeah.
nor mine,
yeah.
nor
Where's
Mr.
that?
Meadows.
Yeah.
So to correct it, if the board would want, they could go zero. If the board can afford $183,000 a year solely on its own, we could go zero. Or we could go divide all the employees by the premium, set one rate across the board, and that would be applied across.
Which I think would be fair. I think that would be very, very fair for
That would be the board's choice.
for the family resource centers, youth service
And
centers.
that
I think that would be.
And why hasn't
I think
this
it would
been
be fair.
discussed?
I think.
And we did do
We've
that
done
for,
that.
for.
Huh?
We
for
did that.
Nora
Yeah, we've
and
already
the-
done it,
and
but we
the-
haven't done it in the past. Okay, here's something else.
Right.
How much do we? What would be?
It would be a large sum that the board would, I don't know the purpose of it. Would you want to reimburse all those grants? Because then you're gonna look at a large number. Okay, for instance, let's just say a
Wait,
third, let's just say a fourth of that 183, or a third, $60,000 per year.
Came
If
from
you
our
go
grant
back-
programs?
Let's say a fourth,
Okay,
or
let's
a
say
third. Okay, and then if you want to reimburse across the board back to those grants, I'm sorry, I just don't know where the board would get that kind of money.
Well, the whole thing about it is,
But
why,
going
wait a
forward-
minute, yeah, but why are we using grant money
Correct.
to supplement?
No, it wasn't a supplement. It's, every grant has that workers' comp code there. Every grant, Doug will tell you, does your grant allow workers' comp fringes? Every grant does. Now, going forward, if the board wanted to go with the one set rate,
That's what we recommended.
that's what we did with the
Okay,
family
well,
Next budget.
resource.
But
I
we
mean,
can't
this-
afford to go back and change budgets for years past. We did this time.
No, we're not asking you. I mean,
No, I think it was.
nobody here was there in the past. I just want to make sure it's done right.
I think that's
But
what's
we
being
have
requested.
resolved that with Doug right?
Well,
The
they've
rate for
uploaded
this
them
year?
to the, yeah, for this year.
Yeah.
But we haven't resolved, we don't have a resolution for the other issues because,
See, I'm not aware of what other issues that you're discussing, but as far as workers'
Yeah.
comp, for this year, it's resolved because,
but you.
I mean, and you
Well, I
told
hope so.
Nora, you told Nora that your conversation and mine was that it would be at 2
To
something.
be restored to the $200 per
And so,
employee.
right, so, I don't know, I mean, the board has that issue, 0 or one set amount.
No, I would rather see them, I'd rather see them pay the average, the 200 some odd dollars. I mean, that seems fair.
That's fine, and no money's gonna be lost either way.
Yeah.
It's just in any district, the allocation of that out of general fund is much, it's much more confined and restricted in the Fund 2, which is the grant, and what you can do with extra money, or with your money. General fund, the board can choose to use it however you want. The less money you have in general fund, the less discretion you have in doing what you need to get done in the
Okay,
district.
what are we doing as far as Head Start? Are the Head Start employees, I mean, I'm assuming that we oversee that, are we charging them an average, or are we?
This rate has been, as I said, several years. That way of calculation has been done for several years. Now, do we want to change it going forward?
I can't
That's the
understand,
board.
I can't understand the rate of calculation. I mean, I can't understand why it would be higher. I mean, I can't, I mean, I'm looking at, I know that you would pay higher compensation for a coal miner than you would,
Gary, that's a question for our carrier.
Yes, that's
We
what
just
I'm
go by what the carrier tells
Yeah.
our premiums. That's all. But the board does not have to stay with that. Going forward, it's my recommendation, we've already discussed this.
Yeah, we
We
go-
need to level the playing field. It just means, the only thing it means is that general fund picks up more of the tab. That's all. We're not creating or saving money. It's just who's paying for it.
So it's gonna go to the $200 and some dollars.
Well,
workers'
for
comp.
your program alone, it's already done that. I mean, that's already been done.
okay, that's been done.
Okay, then will the salary go back up? Because you were holding out all that money for workers' comp.
No,
I'm not sure about
the salary is another subject. My position as a salary, I don't think that's going to be solved tonight. I don't think it should be solved tonight. Is that
Would you
putting,
like your salary cut 5,000?
well, if you had 2 superintendents, probably, yeah. But right now, we have 5 directors, or we have a surplus of 1 director. Increasing the salary of one of them is not wise investment of funds. And this is not to Nora or her capacity and what she brings to kids. This is about having surplus resources in the district.
But it's money that comes out of the grant.
It doesn't matter where money comes from, sir.
Yeah, but, yeah, it does
It's about
to me.
what we're doing with that money.
It's $5,000 that we're taking out of the grant and we're taking back and not paying her.
Or we can see what
We
the
don't
budget
need-
committee meets, if they take care of the 2 new hires that were hired against hire freeze, which was before Mr. Meadows came here, which would help you. Positions we don't even need.
We're in a surplus now, so the board could take action and
So,
remove that. And
the board,
we would transfer that employee, we'd have to transfer them somewhere.
Well, I mean, I'm not for cutting, I'm not for cutting her salary when, according to
No.
Mr. Jones, we didn't have the power to do that.
Well, we do now, because we did merge.
It hasn't merged yet.
I know, well, we did merge. We haven't merged yet because of the agreement that you.
Well, are both of y'all willing to let the state auditor handle this?
I think we can work this out. If we can't, yeah, maybe, but
Well, I mean,
Well,
the state
the
auditor
salary's
can,
not gonna go
I mean,
down.
the state auditor can really work it
I
out.
don't think the state auditor makes the final decision. That's still going to be up to the board and make sure that we're in compliance.
Yeah,
The state auditor may tell you this is what has been done and this is maybe what you need to do. But I don't see why we can't work this out.
What's the question? How long is it going to take to resolve? Hopefully it takes a shorter time than we have tonight.
You're absolutely right. As
Now,
far
it
as,
take that much. You all just sit down, like I say, and just do it. Just
And give her
done.
a prayer.
Can we do that?
yeah, I've offered Mr. Jones.
So why don't we do it?
Well, I mean, I've made several attempts to get a meeting set up.
Well, let's get it done.
Yeah. Let me just say this, okay, if I'm allowed to. I will tell you that nothing has changed and will not change in regards to the salary for this year. That is going to have to be reinstated because that's been operating. And so either we do that and restore.
Like I said, let's get it done, and let's get it done right.
All right.
So
we
if that
have to-
happens, we don't need, you know.
So she's paid.
If I'm assured that that's going to happen, then I'll approve it. If not, then we'll not.
You're not going to.
I think we're in a surplus now, and you know, there's an agreement here between Mr. Cornett and Mr. Jones, that we have merged the school, and we have 2 directors now. We only need 1 director.
That will be for next year.
Well, we still have 2 directors, and we only need 1 because we merged into 1 school.
But that's not
But
going.
we're building one, so they're going
But
to.
that's not going to affect.
Okay, we made an agreement here. We're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it done right. Let's move on, okay?
Huh?
We're gonna get it done. We're gonna get it done right, so we can move on.
Can you guarantee that?
He's honest. I trust him. I trust him.
But to make
I'm
it right.
asking for 6 months,
Friday's fine.
I can be right.
Well, Saturday's fine with me.
What
Sunday
day?
afternoon, Monday, Tuesday.
I've been trying to get a meeting for a long time, and so I have plans to be out of town.
Well, you want to set the meeting tonight?
Yeah, I can get back with you tomorrow. I'll check my calendar.
That'd be great.
We'll stay tonight if you like.
We're almost there.
Well, I have a 2-hour drive, so.
You can stay all night with me.
I mean, I'd like to see her go ahead and get her money. I mean, that's it. I mean, even though we are, as you know, as Mr. Jones pointed out, this year everything's changed, nothing has changed. Her getting her salary is not going to affect anything. I mean, it's not going to affect anything at all. Next year, one of those people will be gone. Because, I mean, you don't need 2 directors, I understand that. But you don't cut, but you don't cut her salary. I mean, especially when it's already been, especially when it's already been, especially when it's already been budgeted for and everything. I mean, you just don't do that. That's just it.
Okay, let's move on.
Am I excused at this point?
You are.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for indulging.
Be careful going on.
Next item on the agenda is approval to enter
Can I say one more
executive
thing?
session for
Wait a minute.
discussion and possible.
Can I say one more thing? On the positive side, I just want to commend Hannah. That's what education is about, what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I had her mom in class, one of my favorite kids, and I'm sure you're proud of her. And Mr. Baldridge, I appreciate what you're doing with student council. I've been wanting that for a long time. And I guess Aaron's gone. I'm sure you've learned a lot. I'm sure you learned a lot tonight. But I want to hear what kids have to say. I want input from kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids are a lot more easy to deal with and are more rational than some of us adults. And
Yeah.
so, it's just,
With that being
Frank, I want you to know I appreciate you.
With that being said, Mr. Harless, she would make a good advisory council member for you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
You're welcome.
All right.
Approval to enter into executive session for discussion and possible action, pursuant to KRS 61.810.
What, is this on the?
Student discipline.
Oh.
When you got potential, pending litigation too,
There's a second.
There's no 2 items on the agenda. Need a motion to approve to go into executive session for student discipline.
I'll make a motion.